Kate, thanks for joining us today. Thrilled to have you.
Yeah, thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
So my first question is, let's talk about the Kate Siragusa, aka Amouranth brand. What is your brand? And in a sea of digital creators and influencers, how do you stand out?
Well, I think one of the things that has made me stand out is being online all the time, especially for girls. Usually girls creators, they don't just like live chronically online where they're just live constantly. Being live in general, like live streaming space, is kind of difficult, I guess, for women to break through because it's mostly a guy audience and girls are harder to relate to. So I think that's unique that I've managed to get past the kind of like the feeling of being an outcast as a woman streamer. And I just keep streaming anyways. I'm live all the time. So
When you say you're live all the time, like break it down to like in hours for me daily.
It varies on the day, but typically between now Kick and Twitch, I am live probably at least 10 hours a day.
And like you've also made headlines. You got paid to you streamed you sleeping. You got paid to sleep.
Yeah, I mean that's actually something guy creators started. I just kind of stole their concept and ran with it. Yeah, I used to do it pretty frequently. Now these days it's kind of hard to do all that. So I have like 15 animals now. So yeah.
15. Okay. What in terms of when you wake up in the morning and you're like, I'm going to stream for 10 hours a day. Do you have a plan? Or are you just going to say like, I'm going to live my life and just pretend the camera's it's on all the time? Or do you have a couple like milestones for the day and then just let the rest be just more natural?
I prefer when I have a planned schedule of content. Those are my favorite days because then I don't feel like, oh no, what am I going to do? So sometimes I have collabs or sometimes I have like an activity already planned out for the day. But a lot of the time it is just kind of winging it, you know, just improvising to whatever I decide to do at the time. It's kind of like, guess I'll do this today. And with those days, it stresses me out.
Give me an example of like what you do when you're winging it.
Well, I will just hop around between different video games. You know, as soon as my ADHD takes a hold of me and I get bored, I go to the next thing and I'll just like figure out what I want to do. Sometimes it depends on the weather. Sometimes I want to go IRL, which is in real life streaming. But if it's raining outside, it's kind of difficult. Or if it's too hot, it's hard. So a lot of the times I'll just talk to my community or I'll do therapy sessions on Discord when I have nothing else to do. And they come in, they tell me about their problems and I give them my take on what they should do.
In terms of, you say you play video games all the time. What is your favorite all-time game, or what are you playing now?
Oh, that's tough. Right now, I was most recently playing Diablo 4, but all time, I think my favorite is a little bit nostalgic for me. Pokemon Yellow. Okay. It's a really, really good one.
Is there a certain stream or video, or piece of content that sparked your career? Is there remember one video that suddenly took hold and got traction and like led to your brand?
Yeah, it wasn't so much a video for me since it's live stream. It was more of a meta at the time of streaming. During COVID, girls started doing hot tub streams on Twitch. I don't know if you ever read about that, but that was really popular for like a year, that whole year, until they kind of switched the rules on us and decided to put hot tub in its own category.
Okay.
Because before we were like in the main category of just chatting, so we got like a lot of eyeballs. There's a lot of people angry about it. Okay. Big debate online whether this should be allowed or not.
Were you gaming in the hot tub or just like streaming?
Yeah, I would game in the hot tub. I would work out in the hot tub. I would talk to people in the hot tub. I would have like podcasts in the hot tub. I would sometimes I would eat in the hot tub. I would dress up and do cosplays in the hot tub. I thought about sleeping in the hot tub, but my manager told me that was against the rules. I might drown and die, you know, casual. But yeah, lots of things.
Okay, but that started kicking off your main following.
Yeah, that really kind of skyrocketed the career.
And was it at the time before that? Was it always a career, or was it something you did as a side hobby, or was it always like, I'm going to become this Twitch streaming creator and, you know, focus all in on that?
Well, I was already doing it full time because it was still enough money to warrant that. But by skyrocket, I mean like it took my Twitch from probably like $30K a month to $100K a month, and then took my OnlyFans because people were talking about all the girls in bikinis. You know, one thing leads to another. Took my OnlyFans to over $1 million a month.
Wow.
So yeah, that's what I mean by skyrocketed.
Yes. Let's talk about like how does the Amouranth brand, the business of Amouranth, make money?
It's a mixture of everything. I have obviously Twitch, Kick, OnlyFans. I also have other sites similar to OnlyFans like Fansly. There's Patreon. There's Slushy now. I dabbled in Centerfold for a bit, like Playboy's take on OnlyFans. And then there's also sponsorships too. Sometimes I get sponsored parties by these various brands. Sometimes it's like an alcohol or it's a adult platform or whatever it happens to be. So it's kind of just here and there money from all the different streaming websites and then all the different platforms people pay to access. So
how do you manage, like you're already living online 10 hours a day, plus now you're doing Kick and Twitch.
Yeah.
And then you have this whole OnlyFans empire and then other things too. How do you manage all that content and keep, I mean, it's all about community. How do you keep all those communities going?
It's a lot of work, and usually most of my days I spend live streaming because that's like the community aspect.
Okay.
But then in order to keep content flowing, there's usually 2 full days that I set aside like every couple of weeks to shoot all my content for OnlyFans or whatever other adult platform, and then Twitter pictures, Instagram pictures and reels. Like pretty much anything that's not streamed content, I will just shoot it all ahead of time. That includes YouTube videos also in those 2 days. And then throughout the next 2 weeks, my team will edit it and like get it prepared to be posted or wherever it needs to go. And then I just stream it every day remaining from that up until the next 2 photo shoot days.
How do you manage your multiple businesses and your almost multiple personalities with the Twitch Amouranth versus the OnlyFans Amouranth?
I usually just decide that my stream persona is more just actually genuine. It's not really like as much persona except for the name. It's kind of just my stream of thoughts, you know, just as I would do it if I was having a conversation with you. I don't think I'm any different really. But then my OnlyFans, I kind of grew up a more conservative person in like a Baptist household, kind of sheltered from the world. So for that one, I really have to kind of put on an act in order to get my mind into the zone and to sell it. Usually we'll be going over different themes that we're doing and we're just looking at Pornhub, for instance, and we have to like analyze something, and then I have to kind of like research about this particular topic because we'll get requests and I'm like, what is that? You know, so for that, I'm actually a lot more, I guess, sheltered than people would think if they saw my OnlyFans stuff.
Yeah, I've had interview creators say they're studying YouTube, but you're studying Pornhub in that case. But
yeah.
Are there analytics? Are you just looking for kind of themes and
just popular themes? What has the most views on a video is basically the only analytic you look at.
Gotcha. Was that you said going from your very conservative background, was that a hard? First of all, was that a hard jump? You know, streaming yourself on just on Twitch for all these times and then jumping into OnlyFans?
The streaming itself wasn't really that crazy to me because I was also a theater kid. So it was actually kind of, I guess, less scary for me than it would be for most people because I'm used to being in front of people. It's actually more chill because there's no one in front of you physically. It's just on the computer. But the OnlyFans was definitely a jump. It wasn't that I was uncomfortable with it though, because I've done modeling too growing up, and I've always had like an open mind despite my family being more conservative. So for that one, it was just kind of like, I need to learn what to do. I don't know how to act. So
in terms of, obviously there's lots of streamers, lots of people on Twitch. You have, what you said, 60, how many followers do you have on Twitch?
6.4 or 5 million.
6.4 or 5 million. How did you help get that popularity?
Just by being online so much, I think, because there's a lot of girls who they'll stream a little bit here and there, kind of like as a side hustle, and then they'll just disappear for months at a time. Because it does become a lot for females, because you get so much hate just for existing, basically. Because the chat's mostly like young, like teenage boys a lot of the time who come in and hate. So that one is harder for females to keep doing. It's very mentally taxing. Yeah. But for me, I guess I've never really been bothered by it because I've had like a thick skin since I was young. I grew up a tomboy because I had brothers and I'm a daddy's girl. So mom kind of just zoned out. So I was very much influenced by males, and I can kind of like handle being bullied since I was bullied a lot in school for being a nerd before that was mainstream these days.
Before that was cool.
Before it was cool,
you were a nerd. You were uncool before it was
yeah,
cool.
Exactly.
In terms of, and you mentioned that like you so much of your life is streamed, and it's obviously been a huge brand and a huge business. But there's obviously, like you mentioned, people saying nasty things on online. What is some of the drawbacks or the kind of the trade-offs of being so public?
I'd say privacy, definitely. Someone's always trying to find out where you live and swat you. Or if you go out, people will often just ask like, oh, are you this person? Or are you Amouranth or whatever? So that kind of is, it has its pros and cons. When you're trying to get into a club in Miami, it's a pro.
Yes.
If you're trying to just shop for groceries, kind of a con, because then you're afraid who's going to try to follow you home, things like that.
Yeah, that's true. How do you deal with that?
I kind of try to wear a disguise when I go out. I'd call my cleavage kind of like my Clark Kent, you know? If I cover it up, no one knows that I'm Superman.
You said swatting, like people calling the police on you?
Yeah, they do that.
That happens a lot?
Semi-frequently. I've moved recently, so not as much this year, but once they start doing it, it'll come in waves. It'll be like 2 times like a week if people are doing it. And like a big spurt. So usually I get swatted at least 10 times a year, sometimes more.
And they break in, like the police will break into your house?
Not anymore. The first time they didn't even break in, but they had like a whole SWAT team arrive with their guns out and everything and like pointed at me. They put me like in handcuffs while they went to the house to search.
Okay, wow.
But after they learn that nothing is going on, I tell them my situation, and then I just kind of get put on file that I'm a special case. And so now when they come SWAT me, it's just like, you doing okay? All right. Can I see your ID? All right. Thank you.
That's crazy.
So yeah, now it's not like a big deal, but at first it was really scary.
Like you have all this stuff going on. What is the end game? Like in 5 years from now, what do you want your brand and your business to be?
I'm not really sure where I want my brand to be in 5 years, but I guess my personal end game is just to have enough money that I can have like invested so that my passive income can kind of at least somewhat match my current like active income, so I don't have to keep being on the grind. So I know I'm getting older, and you know that's very difficult for women, especially unless my AI takes me over. I don't know. We'll see. But I would like to have just enough land to have my own personal ranch and have all my animals out there, have my horses out there, and then maybe have a sanctuary or 2 nearby is what I'd like to do long term. It's kind of like a retirement plan. Just open up my own animal sanctuary to take care of animals that get sick, or if I can pull them from kill shelters, get them adopted. That's kind of like my long term though.
How do you invest?
I have a lot of different, I have private equity. I also have gas stations that I've invested into to kind of reduce my taxes and get kickback from that. I also have like index funds. So it's just a little bit of everything, I would say.
What is your team like? Because you're putting out all this content, then you have your OnlyFans, you have your other businesses. Like that takes a lot of people to work with. What is like the Amouranth enterprise look like?
It depends on the season. Some are busier than others, but I always have at least like 5 people on staff at a time, and I think the highest I've spent is like 20. Some people help with photo shoots, some help edit the content, some help post it, some help clean my house and take care of the animals when I'm on trips.
Okay.
So yeah, it's kind of whatever I need done. Some run errands for me.
What is the secret to building a massive following in your experience?
I don't think there is a secret. I think it's unfortunately just hard work and putting yourself on every platform. Yeah, I wish there was a secret. That'd be nice.
Kind of flipping it, you've worked with a lot of brands and promotions. What should a company or a brand think about and consider before they're going to work with a specific creator in terms of fit, in terms of match, in terms of authenticity?
I think the biggest thing is, does their audience fit for whatever product they're trying to sell? Like for me, who has a mostly male audience, it would probably be hard to sell them on lingerie or something. Even though that I can do try-on videos, maybe the girls would watch it on like a YouTube sponsorship, but on Twitch, probably not so much, And
in terms of, how do you balance, you have this massive following and fan base, and then you have this really big business. How do you balance the two of serving your fans, but then also the business of Amouranth?
Well, I think the entire business kind of serves the fans, because whether I'm interacting with them on Twitch or, posting videos for them on OnlyFans, I feel like it's a service in one way or another.
Do you find, how much do you know about your audience? Like, are a lot of your Twitch fans also OnlyFans fans? Or is it these 2 different segments that you basically, you're creating content for 2 totally different populations?
It overlaps a lot, for sure. I think the only difference is whatever the platform allows me to do. But I think my audience is pretty overlapping everywhere. Like I see the same people on all the platforms.
What is happening right now in the world of gaming that's exciting? There's obviously all this streaming, competitive streaming platforms, and then you have this professional gaming, and people are building arenas to have this alive kind of version. What are you seeing in the gaming world? Like, what's your big prediction coming up soon?
I feel like for the American gaming world, I think eSports is dying, but clearly it's very popular in like Spanish-speaking countries. Spain takes it seriously. Korea takes it hugely seriously. But American, I don't know, I feel like the hype is dying down for eSports. Like most people now want to be like YouTubers or TikTokers, not so much professional eSports players. And then Overwatch is basically shutting down their league. So yeah, I don't think it's looking good for America in eSports.
And what about, I know you mentioned AI before, and it's, AI is such potential everywhere, but especially in the gaming world. What's your kind of take? What's your bold prediction on AI?
Oh, I hope AI gets even better than it is, but I think it's going to take over a lot of probably creative processes in game making, especially. I just played an AI game the other day, and I was able to speak to the character in the game, and they would think about it with like Chat GPT and speak back to me. So the result of the game and our interaction would vary depending on what I said, and that was really cool.
What about AI in the adult porn world?
Oh, I'm so excited for that one. A lot of things that like you think look good in your head don't. So I can't wait for the digital version of myself to be able to catch up to that. So it's not only less work, but I think it'll be a better product as well.
You mentioned, you are the most popular woman streamer on Twitch. That comes with a lot of pressure and a lot of biases and hatred, frankly. What advice would you give other women that want to get involved either in the streaming space, in the gaming space, or just in general? But what should you tell yourself before you dive into this very public world?
Yeah, I think my major concern is safety and privacy. So don't make the mistake I did and use your name. I was naive. Don't use your real first name or last name, I would say. Don't reveal like the city you live in unless you have to. Don't have a PO box. What you get in there is never worth it because stalkers will come to your zip code of your PO box and look for you. Don't try to take the hate too personally because people on the internet, they project, but they're still watching you. So if they're watching your stream or your videos or whatever, they're still contributing to your success and bringing in people that won't be hating. And it's such a small minority, it's just really loud of haters. Another thing would be like if you're trying to become a new creator, I would actually say the stretch for the OnlyFans bag is probably not healthy for your long-term career at this point because it's so oversaturated. And nowadays, if you're not already established with your verification and all that, the platforms are heavily shadow banning adult creators. So if you plan to be in it for a long time and want to get big, I would say just go with like the TikTok route, kind of like Bella Poarch, Charli D'Amelio, who are banking off the fact that they're attractive women, but they're not doing like sexual content. So that's probably the way to go for the future.
There's highs and lows of what you do, and you mentioned the stalking, you mentioned the trolls online and the swatting and things, and you also mentioned you act as a therapist sometimes to your fans as well. How do you yourself kind of A, handle the stress, B, try to take care of yourself and wellness and everything?
Yeah, for me, I have to remind myself what I'm doing it all for, and my end goal is to get my nice little slice of heaven out with my animals in the country where no one can bother me. So I just keep looking forward to that. And then also I do horseback ride as kind of like my own personal meditation. And that for me clears my mind. That's what I found is really enjoyable. But yeah, other than that, I just tell myself, haters are just jealous. Wish they could do it too, have the success. And I just keep going.
What will you want your legacy to be?
I don't know what I want my legacy to be as far as my brand and stream goes, because what I want to do ultimately has nothing to do with that. So I'm not really sure. I guess just showing my legacy could just be showing what's possible if you just dedicate yourself to like a few or several years of hard grind with kind of like your delayed gratification goal in mind. But yeah, not taking breaks, just keeping up the consistency, I think does pay off in the end, and I hope people are able to see that.